On Monday, the 26th of April, and I welcome everybody to the Atherstone Town Council meeting. The first thing is this meeting is being recorded and transmitted by Gary Chamberlain. Anybody that wishes to turn off their cameras or a muted background, please feel free to do so. Right. Item 1 on the agenda, apologies and acceptance for reasons. Odette?
We've got Councillor Henney and Councillor Tony Close.
Yeah. Somebody propose and second that, please. Proposed by myself, seconded by...
Second. Second.
Councillor Bishop. Thank you. Everybody in favour of that?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Declarations of interest, dispensations for declarations of pecuniary interest, declarations of gifts and hospitality. I will kick that off by declaring an interest in all items planning and licensing, as I am both of them boards at the Borough Council.
Chair, can I just say it? I've got to go at 9:30 because we've got another meeting.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Gurney.
Chair,
Yes, Councillor Clues.
can I declare an interest in anything to do with licence and the NHS? And I'll be declaring a non-pecuniary interest with the email from Healthy Living Network as I volunteer at Edible Links.
Okay, thank you. Clark, have we got all those?
Yep.
Yep, thank you. Right, item 3 is the vacancy in the South Ward, the co-option. Also, having read 2 very good CVs,
Right.
and I will ask the clerk if she can, oh, sorry, Odette.
No, sorry, you're probably going to say what I was going to say.
I'm going to say, I'll ask the clerk if he'll put the two applicants into the lobby whilst this item is being discussed.
Right. Right, okay.
Okay, thanks, Clark. As I say, having read both of the CVs from the chair, I would like to propose Stacey Whiteman for co-option for Atherstone South. Do we have a seconder?
Chair, I'll second that. Councillor
Okay.
Jordan.
Seconded by Councillor Jordan. Anyone else? No. I will ask the clerk to take the vote on that, please.
Okay. Councillor Spencer,
Agreed.
Councillor Gurney,
4.
Councillor Bishop,
4.
Councillor Jarvis,
4.
Councillor Chambers,
4.
Jordan,
4.
Councillor Denise Close,
Or
Councillor Wright,
4.
and Councillor Singh.
4.
That's it. I think that's everyone.
Okay, thanks, Clark. I think that is pretty unanimous that it's Councillor Stacey Whiteman. If you
Right.
could call them back from the lobby, please, Clark.
Okay. Okay, they're back.
Okay. Could you just confirm that Stacey and Laura can both hear me?
I can hear.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, two very good CVs, and we have just taken a vote. And welcome to Atherstone Town Council, Councillor Stacey Whiteman.
Thank you. Thank you
I'll
very
say
much.
to Laura Donnelly, very good application, and don't be disheartened because many people get in second time round. So keep an eye on, and if there's any other vacancies, please feel very free to apply for them.
Thank you.
Okay. I will ask Councillor Whiteman to make arrangements with the clerk to sign the declaration.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay, Odette, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Right, item 4, public session shall not exceed 30 minutes. Public and the councillors may speak in respect of business itemised on the agenda or bring up items for future agendas. Mr. Short, I can see your hand.
Thank you. I've got a couple of things. One's just about the market. We make great use of the market square, but I've noticed in the years that I've lived in Atherstone, the market itself has sort of faded somewhat, and the few traders who still appear very loyal. But I was just wondering really whether the council's doing anything to look at how to revive the market, because I think it's such a pity when surrounding towns have sort of quite vibrant markets that ours doesn't seem to work. And I was wondering if there's any scope to look at this and perhaps see how we can attract more traders into the town.
If I can respond to that, over the years, Mr. Short, we have had market traders in trying to encourage other traders come in. We did a period of basically free rent, and we're members of the Market Traders Association. And I'm afraid to say that it's all drawn a blank, but it is not through the lack of trying, unfortunately.
Okay.
Was there another issue, Mr. Short?
Yeah, there was actually. I'm very puzzled about the parish meeting on Wednesday. I'm back in February, I think it was. There was a parish meeting convened, but I think it was I said in advance that basically not enough notice had been given, and that was confirmed subsequently. And yet, the meeting obviously, in theory, went ahead, but nobody turned up because the notice was so short. And yet, I can see that there are minutes rather, which are going to be presented on Wednesday. And yet, I'd previously assumed that Wednesday's meeting was going to be a replacement for that, because I can see that we've still got the 2021 meeting scheduled for May. I think, bearing in mind the previous meeting just legally didn't happen, I'd assumed, as I say, that this Wednesday's would be the replacement for that. I just wanted some clarification, basically, because it doesn't seem much point presenting minutes to the public of a meeting they didn't know enough about in advance, and therefore don't mean anything to them.
I think if I'll start, and then I'll ask the clerk to come in. But information was gained from our governing body of the time that we needed to. That was done by the clerks to the letter. They followed exactly what they was told. Yeah. Subsequently, we found out that information that was given to our clerks was wrong, of which everybody's holding their hands up. There is no trying to hide anything. But unfortunately, the information that our clerks were given was incorrect. And if I could ask Odette to come in on the rest, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, that's right. We were incorrectly told the but yes, Mr. Short, the parish meeting on Wednesday night is the 2021 meeting. It's not a replacement for the last year's one.
Yeah, but as I say, it doesn't seem, and we're sort of covering the ground that's been covered previously, but it's quite clear that that meeting shouldn't have happened, the other one, and you don't make minutes on a meeting which shouldn't have happened, and you don't then present them to the following year's meeting, which should be that previous year's meeting. And you've still got a meeting scheduled for May 2021, and I don't understand, if this is meant to replace that one, why it's been moved to April. It doesn't make sense to me at all. Perhaps I'm missing something somewhere, but I still feel that you shouldn't be just sort of even having minutes of a meeting, which is generally accepted, just didn't happen. And bearing in mind the previous one, as I've complained before, was a fiasco. You've got to get it right, basically.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councillor Clues, I saw your hand.
It was a legacy hand, Chair.
Oh, okay, thank you. Are there any other hands to be shown in the public session? Councillor Gurney.
just want to make people aware, Mark forwarded it to me and asked if it was genuine or whether it was a scam. The police have put a notice out down South Street and Stafford Street, bad parking, and warning people if they park on the footpath, they will be fined or towed away. I have made enquiries. There were 40 notices put out by Gavin, and it is kosher. So just be aware, parking on the footpath in Atherstone in future. That's all I want to make the council aware. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I see any other hands? Or anybody shout up if they have any other issues with public session? I can see no one, so we'll move on to item 5, which is reports from police, county and borough councillors. The report from the police has been circulated. Firstly, has everybody seen that and agree with it? Again, I can see no hands. Do we have county councillor here?
No.
No. So we have no county council and borough councillors' reports. Myself, I've nothing outstanding to report. Councillor Clues, Denise Clues.
Thank you, Chair. The meeting was only the other day, so I didn't have time to write it in as written, but I did go to the meeting for the restarting up of the High Street. Very good meeting. I was disappointed that there weren't more people there, but the feedback was very good. There is, I believe, another grant that's come out, and also the man that they employed to go round checking places is definitely going round asking them if they need any more help, you know, for the next one where they're opening up for people to go inside. Is advising them about the track and trace and COVID and all those kind of things. So it was a very informative meeting.
Thanks,
Thank you, Chair.
Councillor. I just want to say something extra on that, which is just Councillor Clues has just reminded me. I have written in, based on the regeneration of high streets, about the toilets in Atherstone, because they've been closed for over 12 months now. And if we're looking to regenerate the high street, I've written in just saying to the borough, basically they need to be reopened because there are no toilet facilities in the town, and it is preventing people from coming in. Because believe me, as you get older, sometimes you plan your visits around toilets, and as we have none, it can be looked as a downside to our town. Councillor Chambers, anything?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just we had a meeting this morning of the borough's health and wellbeing subgroup, and we covered a number of topics there, but in particular in relation to some of the correspondence that we've got on the agenda tonight, the Green Shoots funding opportunity that is a county council initiated grant funding application that's open to all sorts of organisations to help with climate change, biodiversity, planting trees, hedges and so on. I was just a little bit disappointed to learn that the seminar that was organised to inform people and promote this grant funding opportunity, apparently there were almost nobody there from either North Warwickshire or Nuneaton and Bedworth. And there's just, I think there's a sort of time lapse problem, isn't there, between these things arriving in our post boxes, both borough and town council, and being able to organise and take them forward. I know that it's referred to later on in the agenda of the town council, but there is still a grant funding opportunity there, and it's open, I think, until May the 8th or 10th. And if we are going to talk about wild seeding and wildflowers initiative, maybe that's something that we could talk about in terms of funding that we might apply for. With my other hat on, I shall certainly be applying for this grant whilst it's still around.
Thanks, Councillor Chambers. Councillor Singh?
I've attended the same meeting as Councillor Clues, Denise Clues. Yeah, very good meeting. There's another a pot of £58,000 towards opening up businesses across North Warwickshire. And they're open for ideas from business people or anybody in the, you know, how to get people back into the towns. Yeah, generally good. You know, like you're saying, the toilets do need opening up now because it is a problem. A lot of people do say because the restaurants, even the pubs, you either got to use the pub to go into their toilet. You just can't randomly ask to use their toilets. You could do, but it doesn't look good. So yeah, the toilets are pretty important. But we have got, they were just saying the leisure centre toilets are open at the moment, so you can use them, or the ones at the council building when obviously during office hours. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Singh. Councillor Wright?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just wanted to pick up on reporting Atherstone Nub News. Somewhat misleading. It has been corrected now, but I just wanted to reassure the public of Atherstone that Borough Care, the decision over Borough Care was not done in some sort of smoke-filled room privately, as it inferred, and also that you know, the Borough Council took a long time and with heavy heart almost debating what we were going to do with Borough Care, and we have come to I think a very good solution whereby we can transfer our customers over to the provider in Warwick. Pleased to say that far from us being uncaring, again, as the initial report sort of referred to, our staff are contacting every customer personally. So I just want to give that reassurance that, you know, what the first report said in Atherstone Nub News was not quite correct. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Wright. Any more from any of the borough councillors? Have I missed anybody? No, thank you. We'll move on to item 6, to receive the minutes of the Town Council meeting of the 17th of March. Has everybody got those in front of them? We'll start for accuracy, P133, P134, P135.
Yes, Chair. I did notify the clerk about this. The lady in item 3 on page 135.
Yeah.
Her name is Lorna Ferguson, not Lorna Wren.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, apologies. I changed it on the attendance, but not on that. I'll change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's a business name, isn't it, Ren?
It is, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Again, for accuracy, P136, P137, P138, P139, P140, P141, P142, P143, P144, and finally P145.
Move, Chair.
Move it.
Moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by I think it's Councillor Singh.
Yeah.
Thank you. Matters arising from said minutes. P133, P134, P135, P136, P137, P138. Councillor Jordan.
Yes, Chair. Item 12A, the church uplighters. Was there alternative quotes asked? And we asked for alternative quotes on this and maybe get some ideas of coming up with a different way of doing it. Were alternative quotes got, please?
Through you, Chair, I asked Paul Parker, our electrician, to go and have a look at Witherley. I believe, Ray, you said you were going to look at Witherley as well.
Yeah, I've looked at them, I've seen them, but I did say I would take a photograph, and it's remiss of me I haven't done it.
Okay, then.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
So at the moment, we haven't got an alternative, but Paul Parker is still looking for one.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. No other hands. That was what P139, P140, P141, P142.
Just one, Chair, on P142, at the top of the page about the Arcade Fire Action Plan. Has that been actioned yet about adding dates to the plan to make sure it moves forward?
Through you, Chair, no, it hasn't at the moment because I've been busy with year end, but I will get it done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. P143, 144, and finally P145. Is everybody happy with those? Any issues? Do we need to take a vote on that, Clark, or?
No.
No. Okay, thank you. I'll sign those meeting minutes as correct after this meeting.
Yeah. Through you, Chair, I'll reprint page 3 and bring it to you tomorrow, changing Lorna's name.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Right. Matters arising for the minutes of the Town Council, the EGM on the 8th of April. Okay. For accuracy, P146, P147, P148. Finally, P149. Can we propose and second, please?
I'll move, Chair.
Just the one thing. Public session, it's Holtum, not Holtham. Mr. Holtum. Holton.
Okay, thanks. If you could do that.
That was just a name.
Yeah. We'll sort
From
that out. Signing copy for tomorrow when I do those.
Oh, this is a draft one I'm looking at, sorry.
Yeah, but the clerk will ensure that the accuracy is there. Matters arising from P146, 147.
P147, Chair, if I may.
Okay.
In the item 2 at the top of the page, Gary Chamberlain read out a statement and requested a response from the Town Council. Can I ask what response has been given to Mr. Chamberlain and the other members of the public that he was speaking on behalf of?
Clark?
Would you mind me to come in there?
Yeah.
Chair.
Oh.
Obviously, that was a statement read out in the public session, so you haven't made a resolution to send a response to that item, which you can do if you wish to under matters arising. But it was brought up in the public session last time, so you couldn't make a resolution.
Okay, thank you, Clark.
Chair, just one more thing as well. P147, the outdoor food company, they were there, I think this Saturday gone, but do we check their food ratings? Do you have a copy of their insurance, or do we ask for it? And also are they being charged rent, or are they paying to the Town Council?
Ask Sally to come on this because Sally has been involved with this.
So to answer the questions from Councillor Singh, we've got public liability insurance copy from them, and I know that environmental health then follow up on ask on all of the other public health related matters regarding food hygiene. So that has been handled, and the intention is that that gentleman will be charged rent as the market traders would be on a Tuesday and a Friday. He's coming
Fantastic.
again this Saturday, I understand.
Okay, thanks, Clark.
Which is a minimum, which is about £10.
It's 10,
Yes.
Excuse me, Chair, we didn't have a response to the question I mentioned about has any response been given to the statement that was read out in the public session. I just make sure everyone knows it said at the end of the statement, finally, I'd be grateful, if only for the credibility of the town council, if we could have some response to these matters in aim of reassuring the residents this council represents. I think it's something that we do need to address and make sure that we answer questions that are posed in the public session. So if a proposal hasn't been made, can we make one to that effect that we will respond to this statement?
Are you putting that as a proposal?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. There are two other hands at the moment. I'll take those, then we'll come back to that, Sarah, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Chambers, followed by Councillor Jordan.
Sorry, Chair, that was exactly the point I wanted to make, but Councillor Bishop has already made it. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Councillor Jordan?
Excuse me, my point was to make about the guy that was selling the food on Saturday. He wasn't actually on the square. He was by the side of the Angel. Yeah. I think he's planning on going on the square this Saturday, but he wasn't last Saturday.
As the clerk says, I had a discussion with Sally earlier, and yes, they were there last week at the side of the Angel. This time they are going to go on to the square, but they have done it with the full knowledge of obviously Sally and also environmental health with the health ratings and whatever. And environmental health, as far as I'm aware, are happy. So Sally's hand.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. If I could just clarify that the activity that took place on Saturday, as Councillor Jordan said, was outside the square, so is under no jurisdiction of the town council, and we would not make a charge to him for that visit. Obviously, we would only make the charge when he's on the square. I've explained to him that we have no jurisdiction over him where he was on Saturday.
Okay, thanks for that clarification, Sally. Okay, I can see no other hands, so go back to Councillor Bishop's point. Councillor Bishop?
So my proposal is that in light of the statement that was read out by Gary Chamberlain in the public session of the meeting, where he requested a response, then we as a town council should make a response to those matters that he raised.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that one?
Yes, Chairman, I would second that.
Sorry, I was looking for the little golden hand. I couldn't see your other one. Okay, thank you. It's proposed by Councillor Bishop, seconded by Councillor Chambers. Any other amendments to that? No. I will ask the clerk to take the vote, please.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you there, Rhoda? Yeah.
No, yeah, I was just going to say, what is the response going to be?
Who's making the response, Chair?
Sorry?
Who's going to make a response?
Well, I mean, my actual belief, it was more of a statement than a question, but I will be corrected on that if that's wrong.
It does say at the end of Gary Chamberlain's statement, Chair, if I may, and I did read it out, if we could have some response to these matters in aim of reassuring the residents this council represents. So the statement was requesting a response from the town council, and I think we would be very remiss to overlook that.
Okay. Is that a hand, Councillor Singh?
Well, I think Councillor Wright said something on that evening to him, in that sort of tone. But yeah, I think yeah, we could do a response if the chairman can write a response.
Yeah.
To Gary Chamberlain, that'd be great. I'm for it. I'll vote for it.
Okay. All right. Odette, could you take the vote, please?
Okay, Councillor Spencer,
For.
Councillor Gurney,
For.
Councillor Bishop,
Or
Councillor Jarvis,
For.
Councillor Jordan,
For.
Councillor Denise Close,
For.
Councillor Jackie Chambers,
For.
Councillor Singh,
For.
Councillor Wright.
For.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. We'll move on to the matters arising, P148. Finally, P149.
oh, sorry, Chair, I've muted myself. I wanted to raise just another issue on P147. Under Market Square bookings, item 4, where we were asking Streetscape to use their cleaner, mechanical cleaner, to clean the square. I understand that's not been available. It's out of action. Is that true?
It is indeed, yes, unfortunately.
So we're not able to do that. So what are we going to do as an alternative?
Is that your hand, Sally?
Yeah, you can discuss this under Market Square on the agenda
Okay.
later, if you wish.
Okay, we'll move that to Market Square later then. Okay, thank you. Right, is that proposed and seconded that I sign these
Yeah.
minutes?
Well, move.
Second.
Thank you. Right, invoices approval or checks for signature. There has been a second issue of the checklist. Is everybody happy with that? I will
Move,
propose.
Chair.
I'll move it, seconded by Councillor Wright. All those in favour, could you take the vote, please, Odette?
Councillor Spencer,
For.
Councillor Gurney,
For.
Councillor Bishop,
Sorry. For.
Councillor Jarvis,
For.
Councillor Jordan,
For.
Councillor Denise Close, Councillor Denise Close. Okay, Councillor Chambers.
You're muted, Denise.
I can
For.
For.
Councillor Singh,
For.
Councillor Wright.
For.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Move on to item 11, correspondence received. If we can just go through the lists, and I'll take them in blocks of 10, if that's okay. Right, 1 to 10, 10 to 20.
Yes, Chair. Number 16, there's information about a North Warwickshire networking event to be held on Zoom on the 12th of May. It's a free session. Just letting people know that I'm going to be logging on to that or registering for it.
Councillor Chambers. Sorry, I'll sit.
Thank you. No, thank you, Chair. Yes, E17, phone boxes and the proposal to take out of action 4 phone boxes with streets named. I did look at the guidance that Ofcom sets out for our basically the criteria against which one could veto the removal of these phone boxes. And I'm sorry if I'm coming to this late and a response has already gone in. I understand the deadline was the 23rd of April, but it does seem to me that if you look at the Ofcom guidance about distance to the next public phone box, serving deprived communities, particularly groups that don't have mobile phones, and the usage that there has been at least 2 of those sites. I think I would like to propose that we use our power of veto to object to the removal of those phone boxes as proposed, if we could still have the opportunity to do so.
Can I come in on that? If you look at the 4 phone boxes, there is only 1 phone box that falls within Atherstone, and that is the one down Lister Road. I've been down and had a look at that, and it's in a pretty sad state. The box itself is. There are only 3 sides to it. The other one's gone walkabout somewhere. So we are talking in our ward, in the Atherstone wards, we're talking about 1 phone box, and that is the Lister Road one.
I'm sorry, Chairman.
The others all fall in other parishes.
Oh, so the one on Coleshill Road falls outside of our.
Well, we haven't got one on Coleshill Road, have we?
Well, it's listed as being from Jeff Brown. Perhaps it's I'm just trying to look at the list. Anyway, yeah. the one on Lister Road was used twice a month on average.
Yeah.
It, in my view, given the location, given the type of communities that clearly are going on using that phone box, even though it's very infrequent, if we're taking away any access to a public phone box on that road and for that estate and houses, then I do question the wisdom of doing that just for cost-cutting reasons. After all, we are not stakeholders in BT. We are there to ensure that BT provide a public service and not to remove it when it is still being used by local people.
Sorry, I do believe I was correct. The other one is High Street, Coleshill.
Ah, right. Okay, fine. I thought there was one. Yeah,
yeah,
right. Sorry.
Yeah, easy mistake. Understand that totally. So, do you want to put a proposal to that effect, Councillor Chambers, or?
Well, I don't know, Chairman, whether you want some more discussion of it in terms of, the needs there, and it's supposed to be within 400 metres. There's supposed to be another public phone box.
Yeah.
I can't recall another one. I do recall that one was some months ago. Another one was removed, but I can't remember. And we did agree to that, but I can't remember whether this is another one on top of that or what.
I must admit that's in mine and Major's ward, and I can't think of another public one. I think there's a couple of payphones within buildings, but obviously that is not a public one that's available 24/7. Any further comments?
Right. Just like I say, there was one disappeared off the corner of Grove Road and South Street, but that's gone now.
Yeah, that was taken some time ago.
Yeah.
Councillor Bishop.
If this is the last remaining phone box in Atherstone, I think we should resist it being removed. Sorry, there are lots of times where there are situations where people don't have their mobile with them, or it's out of battery, or perhaps don't even have a mobile, or children walking home from school may not have mobile phones. If there's an emergency, they need to have access to a phone box.
Councillor Jordan?
I was just going to say there is still a telephone box in Atherstone, but obviously it's not used as a telephone box. It's got a defibrillator in it, just on the outskirts of the market square. But I think this one is possibly the last one in Atherstone in Lister Road.
Chairman, sorry.
Would you like to put a proposal forward about that? Then,
I would like to propose that we use our power of veto as Atherstone Town Council against the removal of this public phone box in Lister Road, on the grounds that it does not comply, its removal would not comply with Ofcom guidance, which says that they have a duty to provide a reasonable number of working phone boxes where they're most needed. And I would suggest that the Atherstone Town needs a public phone box which is accessible, and it particularly needs them in the disadvantaged communities that live within the radius of the last remaining phone box in Lister Road.
Okay. So a proposal from Councillor Chambers, seconded by
Second.
Councillor Bishop. Any other comments on that? Is that still a legacy hand now, Jackie?
Yes, sorry, I'll pull it down. Sorry.
Okay, I'll ask the clerk to take the vote on that then, please. Odette?
Councillor Spencer,
For.
Councillor Gurney,
For.
Councillor Bishop,
For.
Councillor Jarvis,
For.
Councillor Jordan,
Or
Councillor Denise Close,
For.
Councillor Chambers,
For.
Councillor Singh,
For.
and Councillor Wright.
For.
Okay, thank you. Continuing on the correspondence, we'll go from 20 to 30. I see no hands.
Yeah.
Oh, Jackie?
Sorry, I'm getting muddled up between signalling, muting, and all the rest of it. There's one on the consultation about public meetings being held by Zoom. I wasn't clear whether we're now past the deadline for that. I know that the clerk sent it out and urged us to respond. I have to confess I didn't respond as an individual, but do we still want to have that discussion as a town council in terms of the options around Zooming virtual or resuming live meetings again in person? I don't know what others' views are and what the consultation really is hoping to get from us.
Could I ask Councillor Wright if he could do it, because I think he's been more involved through the borough, and obviously we follow the same sort of procedures. Councillor Wright?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, well, very briefly, obviously, the government needed primary legislation to extend the use of virtual meetings. There was a debate had, and the government decided they haven't got time for that primary legislation. A collection of local authorities have challenged that decision and said, excuse me, that that needs to be extended past May the 6th. So the upshot is that everybody's now being consulted on whether you want to or not. Opinions vary. For lots of local authorities, it's very relatively easy to go back to face-to-face meetings. The difficulty is obviously because all those meetings are public, you can't gauge the number of members of the public that are going to attend. So whilst it's easy to accommodate, perhaps 15 town councillors, for instance, in the council chamber, or even 35 councillors at the borough, as I say, the difficulty becomes when members of the public, to maintain social distancing, and as we know, social distancing needs to be maintained inside for the foreseeable. So that's the basis of the consultation. It's to gauge opinions of all tiers of local authorities to see how much will, I guess, there is from them to extend that May the 6th deadline.
Okay, thanks,
that helps. It's pretty. I'm sorry, it's unclear, but that's where we are at the moment.
I think reading the legislation, it is very unclear. But I agree what you say. It's not particularly the councillors, because you could have one member of the public, or you could have 101 members of the public, which would obviously create some quite difficulties in the social distancing side in the way we have our meetings. Councillor Bishop.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to say I did respond as an individual to this consultation, and I expressed the view that it would be good to retain the benefits that we've had using technology and perhaps move to a blended approach where we have face-to-face meetings, but we also have the facility whereby other members of the public or interested parties could be in touch with what's going on via technology. So just to let you know that I did respond.
Yeah, I think this is something that's still very much in the melting pot and waiting for some actual definition. Councillor Chambers?
Well, I was just going to propose, Chairman, that we as a town council do respond, and my proposal would be that we favour continuing the Zoom virtual meetings approach at least until the autumn, and that the legislation should be extended to enable us to do that. Much as it goes against the grain and much as I prefer to do face-to-face, I do think, given where we are and the fragility of what, you know, the pandemic, etc., that it would be better to extend it, and what's wiser. So if we want to respond as a collective, I would propose that.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Chambers. I would be quite happy to second that, because I think it's a gently approach. But if we go in too hard too soon, we could end up, you know, walking backwards. And as I say, I'll be happy to second that with for Councillor Chambers. Any other comments on that, Councillor Gurney?
Yeah, in my position, Ray, I totally agree with Councillor Chambers. I'm very dubious at going out and about still at the moment,
yeah,
because I had to shield from last March, and then you're just starting to go out again.
Okay.
So
you.
I would prefer to carry on with the Zoom if it's possible.
Yep. Odette, could you take the vote, please?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Chair,
Oh,
before you
sorry.
do that,
Councillor Jordan.
can I just say there are still people out there that can't figure out technology, and we know very well of 2 or 3 that were regulars at our town council meetings when we was in the chambers, and we haven't seen sight or hair of them on here since we've been having to Zoom meetings. So I, for one, would very much like to do face-to-face meetings again. I understand COVID is still out there, but surely careful face-to-face meetings is better than talking to people through a screen. Thank you.
Councillor Denise Clues.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, I've got to agree with Councillor Jordan a bit on this, and we all know who's attended our meetings for years and years. And, you know, as Mr. Short said, people haven't got all the technology. I mean, we have now said that they can phone in, but are we going to pay the phone bill? Because it may not seem a lot with people phoning in, but it's still a cost, and it's a cost to the generation that, you know, are very careful with money. So, you know, I can see both sides. You know, I can see Councillor Gurney's side, because he's had to shield all this time. But I do like, I'm sorry, was it Councillor Chambers that said that we could do both ways? I can't remember who said that. I think
that was
sorry,
Councillor Bishop.
Councillor Bishop said that we could do both ways. So that's my preferred option, rather than us still doing the other way. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I tend to agree with Councillor Clues and Councillor Jordan. I think it does preclude a lot of people, and you know, face-to-face meetings are you know, preferable. Well, that's my personal preference, and you know, I have to say, you know, it's now official. We are out of the pandemic. And you know, one knows that you know, 65 over 65% of the adult population now being vaccinated. We know that that is very effective against catching COVID, and also very effective in transmitting COVID. So I'm not quite sure who is going to get it anymore. And as I say, it's official now that the pandemic's over. So you know, let's look to the bright side, I think, at last. And you know, if we can get back to face-to-face meetings, I think that would be a good thing, and I think that would be perfectly safe.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wright. Is that still a legacy hand, Councillor Chambers?
No, I did
No.
want to come back, Chairman, and I don't want to debate the fragility or not of the pandemic, the new strains that are arriving, et cetera, in terms of the relative safety. We are not out of lockdown completely yet. June may be the, et cetera, et cetera. But I think, I take the point that Zoom meetings do exclude and prevent some elements of the democratic process and input that we have. I think the question is, if you were going to do this properly, you would consult with the people that normally did attend and say, do you actually want to attend in person, or are they also feeling very nervous about going into an indoor, rather crowded space in order to come and join in a public meeting? So perhaps we should ask them, and I withdraw my proposal and leave it to the consultation that's going on nationally to decide for us.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Chambers. Any more on that issue? Okay, we'll move on. That was up to item 30 to 40. Is that your hand again, Jackie, or is it legacy?
Sorry, no, it's a legacy hand. I'll take it down.
Okay, thank you. 40 to 50. And finally, 50 to 53. Councillor Bishop.
Yeah, just on item 53, are we going to be discussing the letter from a member of the public about behaviour on the market square in relation to reintroduction of use of the market square by drinkers, shall we say? I won't go into any more than that, but it's quite an explicit letter that was sent to us, and I think we need to respond in some way to this and assure our residents that this sort of behaviour is not going to be accepted, but it's how do we monitor what's going on the market square?
The monitoring and control is between licensing and the police. Atherstone Town Council have no jurisdiction over those two issues. If anybody's got a problem, it needs reporting to either licensing or the police, because one, the licensee is duty bound to look after their business, and two, the police are there if there's any COVID breaches. And I do know that immediately when that was received, that was referred by the clerks immediately to those two bodies.
Sorry, Chair, can I just say, are we responding to Mr. Daw in that way to tell him that that's been referred?
I believe, if I ask the clerk, I believe that's already been done.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Councillor Singh, followed by Councillor Wright.
Right. The third party is the environmental department. I believe they are already handling this case, or the whole wine bars situation. They're on the case.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wright.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chairman. Most of what I was going to say has already been said. I know that as soon as we received the letter, the clerk contacted the person that corresponded with us to tell him just that. And absolutely, the police, environmental health, and licensing are all on the case, and any necessary action will happen.
Okay, thank you. Any more issues? I can't see no more hands. Okay, we'll move on to item 12, which is planning. As I have already declared an interest in planning, I will introduce this, but take no part in any discussions. PAP 2021-0172 to Woodhays Grange.
Neighbours.
It's been proposed by Councillor Gurney, seconded by
I'll second that.
Councillor Wright and Councillor Jordan. that this is a neighbours issue.
Yeah.
Anybody that dissents to that? No, thank you. PAP 2021-0136, 37 Stratford Avenue.
Neighbours.
Neighbours again.
Okay, neighbours, Councillor Ross and Councillor Jordan. 67 Croft Road, which is PAP 2021-0120. Is that no comment?
Neighbours again.
Neighbours by Councillor Bishop. That's seconded by
Yeah, neighbours. Councillor
Okay.
Jordan.
PAP 2021-0102, 15 Millrace View.
Neighbours.
Neighbours. PAP 2021-0105, 41 to 43 Long Street.
Can I come in
Councillor
on that?
Jordan, sorry, Councillor Gurney followed by Councillor Bishop.
I'd just like to say when they review this, that they take into consideration that it's in a conservation area and the colours and size of the signs ought to be took into consideration. And it goes with the same comment from me for the one in Market Street, which is the dog grooming. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Councillor Bishop.
Yeah, very much the same, Chair, so I won't repeat.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, sorry.
Yes, Sally.
Can I just be clear on those? So we are going to respond. You're not objecting. You just wish to draw that to the attention, do you?
That is correct.
Are you objecting or not objecting?
I'm just asking them to take into consideration that it's in a conservation area, not actually objecting. I would have thought that would have be relevant to it.
I think that's a question that needs an answer from the clerk. Is it an objection or is it not?
I'll object then.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Denise Clues,
Sorry, Chair.
followed by Councillor Bishop.
Sorry, Chair. Are we not
Councillor Denise Clues, followed by Councillor Bishop, please.
Okay.
Councillor Bishop can come in first if it's a response back to Carl, Chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I was just going to say, are we not able to say yes, we don't object as long as it complies with the regulations for the conservation area?
If I could just for a point of clarity, the actual proposal is actually attached to the planning document, so it gives you a visual of what it will look like. If you look on it's probably not in the pack if you look, Councillor Bishop, but if you actually look on the website, there is a visual of what it will look like after planning permission is either approved or otherwise.
Okay.
Councillor Clues. Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say thank you to our clerk for clarifying this so that we do get it right. So if you remember a few weeks ago, Atherstone Town Council was accused of refusing a planning application. And I have gone into this. I asked our clerk, was there any letter sent from Atherstone Town Council to the planning officer at the borough saying that we refused? So I'm glad that the clerk is asking back these questions so that we get it right. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Clues. Any other comments? Councillor Gurney has put an objection to that. Would somebody like to second that objection? No. Can I just ask the clerk for procedure, please?
Well, obviously, somebody has said that you can pass on comments without formally objecting, but you would, that may be what you wish to do in this case.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Councillor Jordan.
I think think the the challenge is that if you look at the actual planning application, they're agreeing to take off certain elements of the sign, but it's still going to be a colourful sign because of that is the nature of the shop that we're talking about here. So there is no, I can't see a way round the planning not being accepted, if that makes sense, because of the issue of what the shop sells. It just, if you're selling British stuff, you'd use a Union Jack. If you're selling European stuff, you'd use a European flag. But it's just the nature of the beast. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are you happy with that as a response, Sally?
I'll have to say I'm not clear, no, what I'm sending, to be fair. The options are, you have no comment, you wish to object on the grounds of, or, you know, you approve the application. And really those are the only ones.
Of those three then, Councillor Gurney, can you elaborate what you're doing?
Well, it's just an observation on what's happened in the past. I don't particularly want to object to it, but I just want to bring it to the planning that, you know, it is in a conservation area and we want to keep the town as nice as possible. We don't want it to look like a seaside resort. There's one or two buildings in the town which have just been let go for the last 3-4 years and nothing seems to get done about them. So it was just an observation to say basically that, well, I won't object against it, but just take into consideration it is a conservation area and the colours and everything ought to be relevant to a conservation area because we have got set out rules about it. That's all I really want to say. It's just an observation that I want to put towards the borough.
Okay, well, thank you. Councillor Singh?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Gurney. I think I wouldn't want to object, but at the same time, let them know it is under a conservation area. There are rules and sort of regulations with properties like that. So just follow the guidelines.
Okay, thank you. Ask Sally again.
Yeah, so I think, Chair, that would you like me to actually, obviously you'll vote on it in a moment, but I think you do need to be clear whether you're objecting or you're not objecting, because we have sent comments in previously which can be interpreted as an objection. So it may be that you wish to actually clarify Atherstone Town Council does not object to this application. However, they would like to draw attention to the conservation area, etc. But actually put the words, councillors have just said they don't wish to object. So therefore, if that is the feeling on a vote, I think we do need to make it very clear to the planning department whether the town council is objecting or not objecting. You can then still follow that up with a comment.
Okay, Councillor Chambers.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, Odette's just posted a photo of what's in the planning application. And I have to say, I think Councillor Gurney's concerns are very much reflected in what is visually proposed. And we all know that on the planning board, the sort of weight of the list of objections counts for something, as particularly if it comes from a body like a town council or a parish council. So I would err on the basis of objecting to not the principle of the application, but certainly the lack of consideration for the conservation standards that we would normally expect, and reinforce that as our view.
So would you put that as a proposal then, Councillor Chambers? I'm sorry to be going around in circles, but I think we've got to have a give our clerk an actual.
Well, I'm happy to put it forward as a proposal. It does sound as though, I mean, either we trust the planning board to come up with imposing conservation standards as part of the conditions, but the actual what they are proposing, and that is specific, looks, frankly, does look a bit like a seaside resort shop front, and therefore we should object to it in its current form.
Okay. So if I can't see any other hands at the moment, we take that as Councillor Chambers is saying object, is there somebody that that wishes to second that one?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okie dokie. We've got a proposal from Councillor Chambers and seconded by Councillor Gurney that we issue an objection to the Borough Council on this issue, which is 4143 Long Street, for clarity. Are we happy at that, Sally, as having a...
Yes, Chair, I've got
Yep.
it down as
Okay.
the proposal was an objection with regard to the lack of consideration for conservation aspects in this current form of this
Are we having a
application.
vote, Chair?
Yes, we are, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've got as the wording of the proposal that
So-
you're going to vote on.
We have a proposal by Councillor Chambers, seconded by Councillor Gurney. Clerk, could you take the vote, please?
Councillor Spencer,
Or
Councillor Gurney,
Or
Councillor Bishop,
Abstain.
Councillor Jarvik. Oh, sorry, you can't vote. Councillor Jordan,
Or
Councillor Denise Close,
abstain, as it is a lot easier on the eye than it was before.
Councillor Chambers,
4,
Councillor Singh,
4.
Councillor Wright.
Against.
Okay, so we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fours, 1 against and 2 abstained.
So that is carried. Okay, Sally, are you happy at that to be able to submit?
Yep. Yes, thank you, Chair.
No problem. PAP 2021-090, Unit 17, Abel's Way, or Beely's Way.
approve it. Councillor Jordan, approve.
I'll second that.
That's proposed and seconded by Councillor Jordan and then Councillor Gurney. Can we take a vote on that, please, Clark?
Councillor Spencer,
Or
Councillor Gurney,
Or
Councillor Bishop,
Or
Councillor Jordan,
For
Councillor Denise Close,
or
Councillor Chambers,
4,
Councillor Singh,
Or
Councillor Wright.
Or
Okay,
All
thank
fours.
you. Thank you, Clark. PAP 2020-0430 and 431, 14 Market Street. Any comments?
agree.
okay,
Okay. No comment on that one. Okay, and finally, PAP 2021-0153, 39 Church Walk. I see no hands, so that's a no comment.
neighbours,
Yeah, or neighbours.
neighbours.
Okay,
One more.
Sorry?
Chair, there's one more application, an additional one, 49 Friary Road, a single-storey rear extension, PAP 0188.
Neighbours.
neighbours.
0188, and that's 49 Friary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's time for neighbours. Any other comments? Thank you. We'll move on to item 13, Market Square. Clark?
Right. Oops. Oh, sorry, we've got the first one is an application form for Sarah Spotty Van.
If I could come in on that one, I've read the application and I think it is too vague. It needs some more clarification, because if you look at when they say they want to use it, they want to use it for all events, which I will just use the car show as an example, that the car show obviously have their own committee and they do everything. So we couldn't approve it in the way that it is worded. It needs to be more specific. So I would propose that we send it back to the applicant and ask her to be more specific on what she wishes to do.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other comments? Could we take a vote on that, please, Odette?
Yeah. Councillor Spencer,
Or
Councillor Gurney,
Or
Councillor Bishop,
Or
Councillor Jarvis,
Or
Councillor Jordan,
Or
Councillor Denise Close,
or
Councillor Chambers,
For.
Councillor Singh,
Or
and Councillor Wright.
Or
okay, thank you. Clark, any more issues, Market Square?
Chair, a late one it is in Dropbox. Councillors may want to take a moment to have a look. We did have a request come in from the people who are doing the Thai takeaway at Oscar to extend their service to the Market Square.
sure.
It is in Dropbox. An email has come in earlier today.
Chair, surely if they're just dropping off on the Market Square and not going on our Market Square.
well, that I've just raised my hand to answer exactly that. They don't want to use the square. They're asking for permission to provide a takeaway service to the people that are using the square by drinking. I think that's very bold of them to. I mean, but I don't see that they. I stand to be corrected, but do they need the town council's permission to deliver takeaway food to people that are sitting in the square?
Having read it earlier, my thoughts are exactly yours, Councillor Wright, is that if they're not actually doing anything on the square, we don't have any jurisdiction on that. Could I just ask Sally to come in on that, please?
Yeah, if I can just explain, I'm as puzzled as you are as well, to be fair. The gentleman, when he rang up earlier, said he wanted to come onto the square. So obviously he was sent the paperwork and then to explain what he was doing and then the explanation. So I can go back to him and obviously as long as he doesn't go onto the square, it's nothing to do with us, really.
Yeah.
It's for other people to worry about if that's what you want to do. But if he does want to go on the square in any formal way and set a stall up, that's different.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Singh, followed by Councillor Bishop.
Wouldn't it be wise to speak to the publicans around the square? I mean, it's like for customers who are going to order food on the square, who's going to clear up the mess and everything afterwards? And the publicans, I think they might be doing food. I think the tavern, he's got a little oven at the back. Once May the 16th, so he said he was planning to do food. I would still say speak to the publicans, liaise with them. I've got no objections with them bringing food, like anybody, pizzas or whatever, but who's going to be responsible for clearing? And if the publicans are not happy with it, if they're bringing food on without them knowing, then I don't think it might not be a good thing in the long run.
Councillor Bishop.
I was just going to say virtually the same sort of thing as Councillor Singh, that we need to direct this to the licensees of the licensed premises, because if food is being eaten at their tables, they're going to be the ones clearing it up. So I would redirect his enquiry to them.
Councillor Chambers.
Yeah, I was just reading the email, basically, which says, I noticed people eating fish and chips and pizza last Saturday in the Market Square. I think the idea that we can somehow market manage people's choices of food and when they where they choose to eat it and not have any competition with the publicans around the square. I think that's stepping a bit outside of our remit, really. I mean, he's got a right to deliver, presumably wherever he wants to, in terms of the custom that he's got, and litter will be dropped wherever, you know, those deliveries take place if people don't care about picking it up. So I'm not sure that we need permission of the publicans around the market square in order to say what we said originally we were going to say, which was actually where you deliver food is down to you, and it's got nothing to do with setting up a stall on the market square, which would directly act in competition to others that are serving food there and would come with an obligation.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wright, followed by Councillor Gurney.
No, thank you, Chair. I mean, what I was going to say was very similar to Councillor Chambers, actually. I mean, I have to agree. It's a public area, and you know, whilst I hear what you're saying about people have said about the licensees, but you know, we're allowing them to use the square, and I don't see that we've got any jurisdiction whatsoever in, as Councillor Chambers just said, whether it be, you know, one of the pizza delivery people, Chinese takeaway, India, etc. You know, anybody can deliver food to a public area. So, you know, I'll refer you to the comments I made some moments ago and to what our Deputy Clerk said, that as long as they are not trying to, you know, wishing to set a stall up on the square, then I'd see where to be fair, it's got nothing to do with us.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gurney.
No, I totally agree with David. We went to church on Sunday and there was wrappers and pizza box and all that just chucked over the church wall. So, you know, it's just a public area. We can't do anything, I don't think. That's all I've got to say.
Okay, so if I'm reading this, any other comments from anyone? If I'm reading this right, then we respond in the manner that as long as you don't come on the square, you are able to do what you wish. Is that a fair assumption from what everybody's said?
Well, they will be coming on the square to deliver the food.
Yeah.
They will be coming onto the square to deliver the food, correct? Yeah. I don't know, because it's going to prolong the drinkers. I mean, the tables, the turnaround at the moment is like you have your pint or 2 pints and you move and the next lot come in, but they start eating on the table. Whether that's a good thing for the town council to encourage, I don't know.
Just acting as sort of devil's advocate, that there is already someone on the square that is providing food, and last week it was provided from the area at the side of the Angel. So if you're going to stop one providing food, you've got to stop all providing food. And as Councillor Wright said, it's a public space. But how can we put any restrictions on that?
But it's a public space, but they'll be using the landlord's tables. They'll be using their seats and tables. So.
But they already are. Yeah. Councillor Clues.
Can I just say what it says? We plan on taking orders by phone as normal, agreeing a drop-off time with the customer and then delivering them to the customer to pre-arranged drop-off point near the market square.
Oh, okay. So take them home.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. No objections, provided as that they don't go on the market square. And that's what Councillor Clues has kindly just clarified for us. So is that a fair comment for the clerk to make? As long as you don't go on the market square, you can operate as you wish.
Sorry, Chair, but how can we stop them going on the market square? Oh. It's a public place.
Yeah,
I'd just like to say everything's okay.
As they don't trade on the market square, I think that's the sort of stumbling block, isn't it?
No, absolutely, Chair. If, as we said, the only way they'd have to ask us our permission is if they wanted to set up a stall on the square. but it has nothing to do with us, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
Whether they, they deliver one meal or 150 meals on one evening, they can do what they want, like every other takeaway
Yeah.
Have we made
provider
a
within
decision,
the
Chair?
town.
Okay.
Because those people that delivering will deliver where you ask them to, and we can't stop. Nobody can stop them, and nobody should have any jurisdiction over a public place. So if people want food delivered to them on the square, then that's up to them.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's food,
It's
food
of no
delivered.
it's
Food
no
delivered
concern
on
to
the
us.
But once they start eating on the square, it'll be a different story.
But I don't totally disagree, Councillor Singh, I have to say, because you go and buy a bag of chips, for instance,
Yeah.
from and go and eat it on the square. You can go and buy whatever from the
A bag of chips is straightforward. If they have a full Chinese or Indian,
well,
they'll take half an hour eating that.
Well, with all due, I don't think we can. I mean, what we bluntly, bluntly, does it matter what food people are eating? They're eating food. We can't start saying, well, you're all right if you have a bag of chips, but you can't have a Thai takeaway, or you're all right to have a pizza, but you can't have a Indian. You can't do that. It's all or nothing. And to my mind, to be perfectly blunt, it's a public place. We cannot stop the public ordering food and eating it on the square. Full stop. End of conversation, in my opinion. And I'm sorry to be blunt, but that's my opinion.
I'll take Councillor Jordan, and that's the last one.
It's more or less the same as what Councillor Wright just said. I mean, it's down to the publicans. If they want to police it, let them police it. But it's a free space. You can sit. We even provide benches for people to sit there and eat their bag of chips or whatever, or have their coffee. So we can't tell them not to have the food on the square. But just move it. Just move it.
Okay. Are you happy with that as a response, Sally?
Yeah, I'll send a response.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Are there any other further ones on the Market Square, clerks?
I believe Councillor Bishop wants
Sorry?
one of the items.
There was an item from earlier in the meeting, which I'm just trying to recall, that Councillor Bishop brought up, and we said we would bring it up under the Market Square.
Oh, that was Anthony's, wasn't it?
Which I think has been covered, but
yeah, letter of complaint.
Do we know whether this was an isolated incident, or have there been subsequent issues after because it was the first opening night, wasn't it? Well, I think people went a bit crazy. It's whether it's continued. That's the issue, isn't it? Because we've allowed the wine bar to use the Market Square on the understanding.
Can I just that? Can we please not mention business names?
Sorry, apologies. But we expect the licensees who are using the Market Square to follow certain guidelines, aren't we? And I think we as a town council can reinforce those, can't we? Not just leave it to the licensing authority.
As I said before, that we have no jurisdiction over that. It is either police, licensing, or environmental health. And they have all been informed, and they've all received exactly the same communication as we have from the person that sent the letter in. Councillor Wright?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I mean, I was just going to make that point. I mean, we've now had a business named, and we've also had the person that corresponded with us. Their name was mentioned, earlier on when we were talking in correspondence. And I'd just like to remind council, GDPR and all the rest. We shouldn't be naming individuals or businesses, as you've just pointed out, Chair. But the bottom line is, absolutely, as you've just said, the town council, it's got nothing to do with the town council. We've got no control whatsoever. The people or the organisations that have control over this are the police and the borough council. They're the ones to enforce the restrictions, etc. And so to respond to the complainant, as I said a little while ago, one of the clerks spoke directly to that the complainant, reassured them about the town council's position, and also referred the complaints to both borough council and the police. And I know that the borough council and the police have both visited and are keeping an eye on the activity on the square. You know, I mean, we don't know, you know, who, what, where, which business is concerned. You know, there are, and it's, you know, a large number of people are on the square, which is a great thing to see. And on the very whole, people are well behaved, adhering to the restrictions, etc., etc. And I think it's a good thing. So, you know, the bottom line is that there was always going to be those isolated incidents, but they have been dealt with, and let's move forward. But as I say, let's just reinforce the fact is the town council has got nothing to do with it. It's the police and the borough council departments, licensing and environmental health. They're the ones to enforce, and they are doing it very well and very efficiently.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Bishop, and then we'll move off this issue.
I was just going to say, when we give permission, though, to various people to use the market square, surely we do it on the condition that they observe certain rules and regulations. And if they don't, surely we as a town council have the right to withdraw that permission.
We would take advice from the police and or licensing and environmental health on that issue, that they would come back to us and say that we've got a problem. But at the moment, as myself, Councillor Wright, and some others have said, that the ones that have the, you know, whether somebody's doing something, whatever, we have no powers like the police, licensing or environmental health. They may advise the council to do something, but at the moment, it's those authorities that hold the trump cards and say what goes, or more importantly, what doesn't. Councillor Chambers, then Councillor Clues.
I was just going to propose, bearing in mind what you've just said, Chairman, that we review this once we've had the reports back from licensing. Yeah. And we have had a sort of brief report from the police, but I'm not convinced of the evidence yet around taking a view as far as future use of the market square. And I think we need to get that before we take a view.
Yeah. I think if you're proposing that we leave it until licensing and police and or environmental health come back, I'm quite happy to second that. Councillor Clues, you're on mute, Denise.
Similar lines to Councillor Chambers, if we have not had anything from the police or licensing to say that they're not happy with it, then I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do till we get that. So I'm quite happy to second Councillor Chambers' proposal.
Okay, we have a proposal, and we have Councillor Clues and myself seconding it, that that unless we have any from the police, environmental health or licensing, we cannot and do not do anything. Could you take the vote on that, please, Clark?
Yeah, we're all for it. I don't think anybody against that.
Well, but I'd like a vote, please, Major.
Councillor Clues.
Councillor.
For.
Councillor Spencer.
For.
Councillor Gurney.
For.
Councillor Bishop.
Abstain.
Councillor Jarvis.
For.
Councillor Chambers.
For.
Councillor Jordan.
For.
Councillor Singh.
For.
Councillor Wright.
Sorry, for.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Clues, is that a hand or a legacy one? Okay, thank you. Right, I think that concludes Market Square, Clark. Item 14, Old Mortuary Rebuild Project Update. Sally or Odette?
Yeah, you've got a progress report number 2 from the project manager.
Yeah.
And also a copy of the asbestos, pre-demolition asbestos report for this month.
Yeah. Any comments? Don't see no hands, thank you. Government consultation on remote meetings. I think we've actually flogged that one to death before.
Agreed.
That we've got a resolution of what we do, and we stick with that. Date for the annual parish meeting, it's this Wednesday.
Sorry, Chair, Chair. B is the annual town council meeting, not the annual parish meeting. They're different meetings.
Oh, sorry. The annual parish meeting is Wednesday, the 28th. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at one line and reading the other. Sorry. The date for the annual town council meeting is one that is that still a TBA, Clark?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the next 2, really.
Sorry.
And the next 2.
Yeah. The date for the policy documents, that's quite a lengthy one, going through all the policies, and then the date for the June meeting. Okay. Moving on, I can't see no hands or anything. So moving on to item 16, councillor vacancies update. So welcome to Councillor Whiteman. I hope you have a long and prosperous time within the council, and it's nice to see one of the youngsters.
Thank you, and thank you for voting for me and allowing me to see how I can help and kind of progress with yourselves. And I'm really looking forward to working with you all in the town. So thank you.
I think one of the key things for a new councillor is do not be afraid to ask. I think that's a very key question, is do not be afraid to ask. And the clerks will always guide you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other updates from the others? Those are going, the rest are going through the election process on the 6th of May.
Yeah.
So I think that concludes that, yes?
Yeah.
Atherstone in Bloom Award, Councillor Spencer.
Good evening. I've finally found my voice through you, Chair. Something that was inspired sort of last year in discussions with our late councillor Dawn Downs. One of the reasons that Dawn sort of engaged into town council was she had aspirations to want to bring Britain in Bloom to the town, and it was something that she sort of prided to want to do and achieve. And you know what Dawn was like. She was a vivacious character, and she just basically wanted to paint the town with as many colours as she could. So really, in honour of her memory, I would like to propose that we attempt to put Atherstone in Bloom, but do it through our own project rather than through just the initiation of Britain in Bloom. So basically, I wanted to propose to council tonight that obviously sort of doing something like putting Atherstone in Bloom, we could sort of be encouraging building community ties with volunteers, attracting visitors to the area, fostering pride in local surroundings and wildlife friendly, and all the rest of those additives that goes with it. So talking to some of the business owners on this idea before we start to sort of discuss it, I did have some actual volunteers of sponsorship if we do go ahead with something like this. And some of the local businesses would be happy to actually sponsor hanging baskets, possibly floral displays outside shops. I can appreciate we have to be careful of safety of street furniture and all the rest of that. So obviously I do think possibly a working group meeting could be sort of formed to try and achieve this. And I'd just like to know your thoughts on this, councillors.
If I could just come in to start with, myself, Councillor Downs, Councillor Singh and Councillor Neil Dervix, we have, out of our councillors' fund, we have funded 4 new planters for the Market Square. Because of COVID and all the restrictions, they have taken somewhat of a back seat. We was hoping to get them done months ago, but because of the weight of them and planting them and whatever, and you couldn't have two people lifting one planter, that actually has put that back on the back burner. But they should be appearing in the market square very, very soon, and being planted by the Smithy Farm Shop.
Well, through you, Chair, could I just propose that we could probably approach some of the businesses in the town and to see how they'd feel about possibly putting hanging baskets up outside their shops, and let's just see what the response is going to be, and see if we can sort of try and floribunda our town a little bit and see where we get with it.
Would you like to chair a working group on that, Councillor Spencer?
Yes, I would, Councillor.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Denise Clues, Councillor Singh, and then Councillor Jordan.
You're muted again.
Denise.
So thank you, Chair. If you remember many years back when we first started planters in the town, I mean, it was councillors that planted them up then. Just a shame that some of us have got a little bit older and can't do the bending now. But I'd just like to say to Councillor Spencer as well, to speak to the volunteers on the canal, because they plant up all their beds, and I think it would be nice if we could tie it in, because we've got to remember that the boats that come through the town and then go off and then come into town as well. So I'd like to, to try and connect the two. And also, if we're going to be doing this thing, get in touch with some of the youths, like the Girl Guides and the Scouts, and encourage those as well. Because, I mean, if we start earlier next year, we could actually produce seeds for all these youth organisations to start growing the plants for us. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Singh and then Councillor Jordan.
Yeah, I was just going to say to Angie, Councillor Angie, that I would fully back you on this. When I was at that meeting originally, when Councillor Down was there, and we had someone who gave us a talk. Yeah, I would fully back you on that one. 100%.
Thank you very much, Major. Thank you.
Jordan.
Yes, Councillor Spencer, brilliant idea. We all know Councillor Dorndowns loved her bloom, didn't we?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant idea. Support it all the way. Would love to be on the working group with you. And also, perhaps we could have a word with County Council and have a look at putting baskets on the lampposts, as you come into Atherstone.
Yes.
From the railway station end, because it always seems to be neglected. I know this Christmas we're going to put lights up there, hopefully, but maybe some hanging baskets during the summer. That would be good. Thank you.
Through you. Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Chair.
Can we just take Councillor Chambers, then back to Angie?
Yeah, just very supportive of, keeping going with this. I think, having been to a lot of towns abroad, especially in France, it's the access into and out of the towns where these flowers really hit you if you're visiting a place as a destination. So, I think there's real opportunities to not just have hanging baskets, but to use the verges and so on. I know that was talked about before. And I think North Warwickshire Borough Council have also suggested that, that they would give permission where they do own the land, which is great. Just in terms of funding, I did mention when I talked about the Borough Council and the Green Shoots funding, the Green Shoots funding from the County Council. I mean, I don't know who's going to pay for some of the seeds and the flowers and so on, but there is an opportunity there in terms of certainly wildflowers to put in a bid for the County Council monies that's there. I get the sense that there's quite a lot still sitting there, and it would be something that we could apply for as a town council if we got the kind of proposals together, and certainly along the canal where 11,000 boats go up and down those locks on a normal year. I think what Councillor Clues said is real. It would be lovely to have that kind of wildflower or flowers along the canal as well. And in my other capacity as a director of Ruby's Yard, we've got 3 big planter areas at the top of the locks, which could be used also to plant pretty flowers and welcome people to the town as they come through.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Chambers. Councillor Spencer.
Thank you for that, Councillor Chambers, through you, Chair. And also, I was going to consider, if you would like to consider it with me, possibly sort of to try and sort of initiate the businesses to get interested in doing something like this. Maybe we could sort of propose a memorial trophy in honour of Dawn, and sort of ask if the shops would like to get involved in a competition style initiative to get it started just for this year, and then maybe look towards funding if we can get a good enough response for Long Street, Church Street and in around the other areas, and then put it out as a competition to start with initially. And we'll sort of see if we can get funding to do a memorial trophy for this. And then obviously for next year, and looking at the longevity of the project, we could actually start to apply for the funding. And also as a proposition, we could potentially sort of incorporate some of the local businesses that would like to sponsor maybe the hanging baskets that would hang from the lampposts in the church square in the square of Atherstone. So it's just something that I'd like to sort of get everybody together with if they're interested, and sort of bash it out and get it rolling as soon as we can.
I think you've kindly volunteered to chair a working group on that, Angie. If you want to move that forwards,
yes,
proceed.
Thank you.
I think the general feeling is yes, it's a good proposal.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to agenda item 18, reports. Item A, Clerk's report. Odette?
Yeah, that has been circulated. Has anyone got any questions?
Any comments from anyone? I can see no hands. Deputy Clerk's report, likewise. I can see no hands for that. Finance, that's all been in the pack. So has anybody got any comments? Nope. Town Council reports as per written reports submitted. Anything, Clerks?
Yes, Councillor Bishop.
Councillor Bishop.
Just to say, I hope councillors had an opportunity to glance at that, and I was very pleased to receive a thank you card from GFS for my attendance at their meeting. It was really a question and answer session, but I did suggest to them that they could access funding through our grant funding, and emailed them a copy of the grant form. They were very highly regarded by the CEO of the Girls Friendly Society. So I think it's something that Atherstone should be well and truly proud of. They were being held up as a really strong example to other GFS groups around the country. So congratulations to them.
If I could just add to that, is that Councillor Singh and myself have recognised the GFS through our funds, and we have made a contribution to the GFS. So they are being recognised, and as I say, good recognition for them, because they do a great job and they've got a good attendance. And it gives me a job as Santa at Christmas. Oh, I've let the cat out the bag now, have I, Stacey? Right. Any further ones? No, thank you. Oh, Councillor Gurney, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I would just like to say with the GFS, my daughter was involved, and they've rated as one of the best in the country and really respected Atherstone. They've done a lot of work around the country and all sorts of things. Yeah, we do know them. And of course, it's Sharon that drives it.
Yeah.
Who is one of our honorary citizens, Sharon Holland.
Okay. Right, moving on. Item 19, cemetery. Deputy Clerk. Item 8, recent burials. The reports are in the packs. Any comments? No. Cemetery admin report. Sally.
Yeah, that's just been reported, Chair. If
Nothing,
anybody's got any questions.
No, everybody happy? I can see no hands. And the general cemetery report. Has anybody got any comments on that? I think I will say that currently it looks pretty smart down there. It's the grass is cut regular and it's looking good. which is compliments to the clerks for keeping on top of it, and also for Perennial, because they're being very respectful contractors. Moving on, item 20, allotments, report for both sides from the deputy clerk. Sally.
Yeah, there's I think again the report just speaks for itself. I've got no actions to ask council this month.
Okay.
We're still chasing rent, and done the thank you to Councillor Tony Clues came with me, and I did the site inspections at both sites, and pleased to say that on the whole the sites were very well worked, and so there's not too many cultivation letters to go out, but there are just one or two at both sites.
Okay, thanks, Sally. Councillor Bishop.
Just to say, on the report, Sally, it says allotment awards. These will take place on Tuesday, the 13th of July. It's the inspection visits,
Yes,
isn't it, that are taking
that's
place
it. Yeah,
then?
yeah.
So sorry, what was that?
No,
it's the judging night.
Yeah,
it's the judging night.
The judging night taking place.
It
looks like the awards are being presented on the 13th. That's all.
Yeah, it's the actual judging. Yeah, the notices have gone up.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Item 21, play areas. I think we've seen all the reports, and any necessary actions have been taken. I think. Well, I'll let Councillor Clues say, because I was going to say it, but Councillor Clues.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'd like to ask the clerk, have we had any response from CCTV about the second incident with the mattress, the trolley and the fire in the bin?
No.
Clerk? That's very disappointing. I've got to admit, this can't keep happening in our play areas. I mean, I've got to admit, it's not in our ward, but I think because we just live up the road, it's normally us that get the phone call to go down. So we did have a fire in the big bin. The fire brigade come out and put it out, and then by the time they'd left, they'd set fire to another bin. So Councillor T. Clues got some water off the neighbour and put that one out. And then the next day, a trolley appeared and a mattress appeared, and then the bin got set fire to again. The other thing that happened, I will not say it while this is being filmed, but I am disappointed that we've had no response back from CCTV. So I'd like to propose that as from Town Council, that we send a letter to CCTV asking why, we've not had a response. And the answer to the first time we asked CCTV if they could pick anything up. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I tend to agree with Councillor Clues. The one thing that I was going to add to the inspection is that one of the chairs down in the Westwood Road Park has got sharp edges all along the front, and it looks as though it's possibly a dog jumping up and biting it. And if a young child was on there, it would certainly scratch their legs considerably. But again, it's getting reports back to be able to do any actions for it. I don't know what any other councillors think on that. I think in the old, in the days gone by, we'd probably gone down with a sanding block ourselves and just sanded off the sharp edges. But in the current climate, it's not particularly the done thing to do. Any other comments? Okay with that, clerk, to write to the CCTV expressing the disappointment.
Yeah.
Right. Where are we? Item 22, arcade, clerk. Item A, update from the working group. I don't think there's been any meetings of the working group, so there shouldn't be anything to report from that. No.
Can I just say, Chair, that as a result of any expressions of interest, it may be that the working group might need to reconvene, and I'm sure people will be.
When that comes up,
yeah,
I was going to propose that we have an EGM on that. It needs to be a single item with all council. Okay. Arcade fire action plan. I think the clerk has already said where that is going. Unit 7, the community supermarket, which I believe that Sonia Johnson has put a proposal forwards, and having read it in detail, I think it covers things very, very well. And it also takes into account some of the problems that there's been had previously. So I think it's a very good report, and something that we should support. So for the Unit 7 community supermarket, I would like to propose that is approved. Councillor Jordan, then Councillor Chambers.
Can I second that proposal and say it's an excellent idea?
You can indeed.
Excellent idea. Looking forward to seeing it in operation should it get the go ahead.
Councillor Chambers.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, I totally support that proposal. I just have picked up some concerns about the operational policies insofar as they don't allow people other than the person themselves to pick up from the supermarket. And obviously when you've got maybe 3 or 4 very young children, nothing except public transport to get there, plus the kind of doing and throwing to get there, that restrictive policy has meant that some people have found it difficult to continue to use it because they can't get their mums or their friends and so on to pick up from the shop. So I just that wasn't addressed in the statement that was made by Sonia, but otherwise obviously a very robust and disciplined approach to meeting a need.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on that? If not, I will ask the clerk to take a vote. Proposed by myself to approve, seconded by Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Spencer.
For.
Councillor Gurney.
For.
Councillor Bishop.
For.
Councillor Jarvis.
For.
Councillor Jordan.
For.
Councillor Denise Close.
Declared an interest, Chair. Clerk.
Okay, yeah. Councillor Chambers.
For.
Councillor Wright.
For.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Expressions of interest for upstairs. As I alluded to earlier, I think that now we have those interests, we need to look at an EGM to fully explore and plan the best way forwards. Okay, is anybody? Jackie?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I was quite reassured actually by the breadth of the interest, both commercial and community groups, that we've got a list for now. However, I did notice that most of the people that have put forward an expression of interest would appear not yet to have had an opportunity to actually visit the upstairs. And before we have an EGM, it does seem to me that the kind of reality of taking that to the next stage as far as these applicants is concerned needs to be gone through. I don't know what, I know that one organisation has visited, but before we start debating how we take it forward, I think it's really important that people actually do see what's up there and that we put a best foot forward in terms of it being tidy and neat and not having a lot of storage that doesn't need to be there. And I know there was a proposal to have a skip and so on and get rid of furniture. So it's just between now and whenever we're going to debate it as councillors that there just seemed to be a need for a visit by those that are put in their EOIs.
Okay. Could I ask the clerk to contact the ones that's got an interest and ask them if they wish to visit, and if they do, to make an appropriate time with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chair, if I may, are we going to set a date for an EGM then?
Well, let's wait just for a little while until Councillor Chambers' issue is taken up, and I do tend to agree that people do need to see the area and understand what it is, where it is, and what could be done with it. Because it's all right saying that there's an issue that they'd like to take it on, but I do agree with Councillor Chambers that that it's a better view having actually been and seen the place. So yes, we'll have an EGM, but I think we just need a little bit of breathing space to let people have a look and then move it to the next stage forward. Councillor Chambers.
Thank you. Just one more thing in terms of preparing for such an EGM. We do need at some point, perhaps at the EGM, to debate about what kind of terms and as rental we would be asking for, and whether what we're looking as a sort of not-for-profit type of overall income, or whether we're trying to cover our business rates and have a profit as well. And I think that is clearly going to be a really important thing as far as encouraging and supporting either small businesses or community groups, and having a view as to kind of the mix that those that still want to continue we would favour.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Just to say, Chair, that following the previous resolution that we made about allowing visits to the upstairs of the arcade, just to say to the clerks, you know, just contact us if you need an extra person to go with you to support those visits.
Yeah, that is already in place, Councillor Bishop.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Item 23, the community support team. I believe they're all still sitting there and doing their jobs as and when required. Obviously less now because things are coming out, but I think they're still there. Councillor Clues.
Thank you, Chair. I still think we ought to be mindful at some time when we're fairly back to normal and people can get out there, that we need to say a thank you to these people on behalf of our residents, because without them, a lot of residents would be really stuck for prescriptions and shopping and walking the dogs and all that. So I think we still need to be mindful that there's some way we've got to be able to thank these people.
Yeah, okay, thank you. If I could just expand on that, myself and the deputy clerk have discussed that in how it could be done. But obviously with social distancing at the minute, it is difficult. But as things are relaxed, it has been discussed of how this could be done. Councillor Chambers, is that a new hand or a legacy one?
Yes, it is. Just to say, this meeting this morning, we had a county council community development person present, and they were saying that there's going to be a volunteers week organised by Carver, where they'll be collating videos and photos and examples of work that's been undertaken during COVID, and a sort of celebration during that week of all that's been done. Now, it may be that we could, in a sense, help with that, or piggyback on some of that to link what's been done in the town and take part in that week, rather than try and organise something separately. Just contribute to that in an active way.
Could I ask you to forward that to the deputy clerk then, please, Councillor Chambers?
Yes, I haven't got any more detail, but I'll certainly get Laurie Harvey to pursue it, and then when the details of when it is and what's going to happen and how it's going to be you know, engaged with, then that'll be, I'll certainly do that.
If that can go to the deputy clerk, at least we've got the opportunity to be inclusive. Okie dokie. We're now going to private and confidential, and the procedure is: Atherstone Town Council recognises that the reasons for exemptions as laid out under section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972 apply to principal councils only, but are making use of them as good practice guidance in according with their standard and orders. It was resolved that under section 100A of the Local Government Act, in view of the confidential nature of the business about to be transacted, being details of terms of contracts, information the disclosure of which is prohibited or under any enactment by government or order of court, or any negotiations. I will propose that, seconded by seconded by Councillor Jordan. Could you take the vote, please, Odette?
Councillor Spencer,
Or
Councillor Gurney,
Four.
Councillor Bishop,
Or
Councillor Jarvis,
4.
Councillor Denise Close,
or
Councillor Jordan,
4,
Councillor Chambers,
4.
Councillor Wright.
4.
Okay, if you could do the necessary, please,
I will.
Odette.